Something is about to happen in your life. And the reason you're watching this right now is because you were not meant to miss it. This is not a coincidence. Out of all the videos, out of all the moments in your day, you stopped here. You clicked this, and now you're listening. That alone tells you something. Because not everyone will see this. Most people will scroll past without thinking. Most people will ignore the feeling inside them. But you didn't. And that is where everything begins. Right now, take a second. Be honest with yourself. Something has been feeling different lately, hasn't it? Not something loud, not something obvious, but something subtle, a quiet shift, a feeling you can't fully explain. It's like something is changing, but you don't know what. And that uncertainty, it stays in your mind. You try to ignore it. You distract yourself. You tell yourself it's nothing. But it keeps coming back, again and again and again. You've been thinking more than usual, overanalyzing small things, noticing patterns, feeling like something is slightly off or slightly different. And the more you try to push it away, the stronger it becomes. That is not random. That is not your imagination. That is awareness. There are moments in life where everything looks normal on the outside. But inside, something is shifting, something is preparing to change. And before that change becomes visible, you feel it, you sense it, you experience it as confusion, as restlessness, as a strange feeling you can't explain. You may have noticed this in small ways. People acting differently around you, conversations feeling unusual, situations not going the way you expected. Things that once made sense suddenly don't, and things that didn't matter before are now on your mind constantly. It feels like something is trying to get your attention, but you don't know what it is. And that's what makes it uncomfortable, because the human mind wants clarity. It wants answers. It wants control. But right now, you don't have that. You only have a feeling. And that feeling is important, more important than you think. Because most people ignore it. They silence it. They bury it under distractions. But the truth is, that feeling is where everything starts. Think about your life carefully. There have been moments before when something felt different, right before something major happened. You didn't understand it at the time. You didn't see it clearly. But later, it made sense. This is one of those moments. Something is about to happen in your life. Not in a dramatic, obvious way. Not like a movie, but in a real, deep, personal way. A shift, a turning point, a change in direction. And the reason you feel this confusion, this tension, this awareness, is because you are close to that moment, closer than you realize. But here's where most people make a mistake. They ignore it. They pretend everything is normal. They keep repeating the same patterns. And when the moment passes, they don't even realize what they lost. You're being given a chance right now. Not to panic, not to fear, but to become aware, to pay attention, to stop ignoring what you already feel. Because deep down, you already know something is changing. You just haven't accepted it yet. And that is why this message reached you. Not to scare you, but to wake you up. Right now, you're standing at a point in your life where something can shift, something can move, something can change direction. But whether it happens for you or passes by unnoticed depends on one thing, your awareness. And that is what this message is about. Not giving you answers, not telling you exactly what will happen, but making you aware. So when it happens, you don't miss it, because something is about to happen in your life. And this time, you are not meant to ignore it. Section 2, Tension plus Uncertainty Deepening. Stay with this message, because what you are feeling right now is not something you should ignore. There are moments in life when change begins silently, not with noise, not with clear signs, but with a feeling, a quiet pressure inside your mind, a sense that something is not the same anymore. You may not be able to explain it. If someone asked you right now, what exactly is wrong? you wouldn't have a clear answer. And that is what makes it difficult. Because when there is no clear problem, there is no clear solution. But that does not mean nothing is happening. In fact, this is when the most important changes begin. Think about this carefully. Before every major shift in life, there's always a phase of confusion, a phase where nothing feels stable, where your thoughts feel scattered, where your emotions don't fully make sense. That is where you are right now. Something is preparing to change, and your mind is trying to understand it before it even happens. You may have noticed this in your daily life. Small things feeling heavier than usual. Simple decisions feeling harder. Your focus breaking more easily. Your patience becoming shorter. And at the same time, you may feel moments of clarity. Short moments where everything feels clear. Where you feel like you understand something deeply. But then, it fades again. This back and forth. This confusion. This instability is not weakness. It is transition. You're not stuck. You are in between. Between what your life was and what it is about to become. And this space, this in-between moment, is the most uncomfortable place to be. Because you're no longer who you were, but you are not yet who you are becoming. That creates tension, internal tension, mental pressure, emotional confusion. And most people, they run from this. They distract themselves. They numb themselves. They avoid facing it. But you are here, listening, paying attention. And that means you are not running. There is something else you need to understand very clearly. Not every change feels positive in the beginning. Sometimes it feels like things are falling apart. Plans not working, people drifting away, situations becoming uncertain. It can feel like loss, like confusion, like instability. But what if that is not destruction? What if that is preparation? Preparation for something different, something new, something you're not expecting yet. Because sometimes things need a break before something better can form. And that is the part people misunderstand. They see the discomfort and they assume something is wrong. But discomfort is often a sign that something is shifting. Right now, you're being pushed out of a version of your life that no longer fits you. Even if you don't fully see it yet, even if you don't fully understand it yet, there's a reason things feel different. There's a reason your mind is restless. There's a reason you cannot fully relax. Because something is coming, and your awareness is trying to prepare you for it. You don't need to know exactly what it is. Not yet. But you do need to stop ignoring what you feel. Because this is where people make a mistake. A critical mistake. They feel the shift. They sense the change. They notice the signs. And then they go back to distraction. They tell themselves, it's nothing. I am overthinking. It will pass. And sometimes it does pass. But not because nothing was happening. It passes because they missed it. They missed the moment. They ignored the signal. They stayed the same when they were meant to change. And later, they look back and realize something important slipped away. You are being given a different opportunity right now to notice, to pay attention, to stay aware, because something is about to happen in your life. And this time, you are not completely unaware. This time, you are feeling it before it arrives. And that changes everything. Stay with this message, because what comes next is something you need to understand even more deeply. Section 3. Divine Authority plus Destiny Pull. Now listen carefully, because this is the part most people don't fully understand. What you are experiencing right now is not just a random phase. It is not just overthinking. It is not just stress. There are moments in life when you're being guided, not in a loud way, not in a way that can be easily explained, but in a quiet, deep, almost invisible way. And if you are paying attention, you begin to notice it. You don't need to believe anything blindly. You don't need to force yourself to accept anything. All you need to do is observe what you feel. Right now, something inside you is more aware than usual, more alert, more sensitive. That is not weakness. That is alignment. Because when something important is about to happen, your awareness increases. You begin to notice things you ignored before. You begin to question things you accepted before. You begin to feel things more deeply than before. That is not random. That is preparation. Think about this simply. If something important was about to happen in your life, wouldn't you want to be aware of it? Wouldn't you want to be ready? But awareness does not always come as clarity. Sometimes it comes as confusion first. Because before you understand something, you feel it. And right now, you are feeling it. You may not have answers yet, but you have awareness. And awareness is the first step toward understanding. There is something else you need to realize. Very clearly, you are not in the same place you were before. Even if your surroundings look the same, even if your routine feels the same, internally, something has already changed. Your thinking is different. Your perception is shifting. Your attention is moving toward things it ignored before. That is not accident. That is movement. Movement towards something new, something different, something that is not fully visible yet. And that is why this moment matters. Because most people, they wait until change becomes obvious. They wait until something happens, until something forces them to react. But by then, it is already late. You are in a different position. You are feeling it early, before it fully happens. And that gives you something powerful. Time. Time to become aware. Time to prepare. Time to adjust your thinking. But only if you don't ignore it. Because ignoring it puts you back in the same position as everyone else. Unaware, unprepared, reactive. And that is not where you are meant to be. You are meant to notice. There's a reason you feel this tension. There's a reason your mind keeps coming back to certain thoughts. There's a reason you cannot fully settle into comfort. Because comfort is not where you are supposed to stay right now. You're being moved out of a state of repetition, moved out of patterns that no longer serve you, moved towards something that requires your attention. And that movement feels uncomfortable because it is unfamiliar. But unfamiliar does not mean wrong. Unfamiliar often means growth. Right now, you're standing at a point where two paths exist. One path is easy. Ignore the feeling. Continue as you are. Do the same things. Think the same way. Stay in the same patterns. Nothing changes immediately. Everything feels normal again. But slowly, something inside you fades. The awareness disappears. The opportunity passes. And life continues. Unchanged. The second path is different. You pay attention. You stay aware. You don't run from the feeling. You observe your thoughts. You notice your environment. You start questioning what needs to change. And slowly, things begin to shift. Not all at once. Not dramatically, but in a real way. A meaningful way. And that is the path that leads somewhere new. Right now, you're between these two paths. And the decision is not loud. It is not obvious. It is quiet. It is in small moments, small choices, small awareness. But those small things decide everything. Something is about to happen in your life. Not because of luck, not because of chance, but because you're approaching a point of change. And whether that change happens for you or passes you by depends on one thing: whether you stay aware or go back to ignoring what you feel. And deep down, you already know which one you're leaning toward. Stay with this, because what comes next is where everything becomes even clearer. Before you leave, pause for a moment. Don't rush away from this, because this is the part most people skip. And later, They realized it was the part they needed the most. Right now, you are aware of something you were ignoring before. A feeling, a thought, a quiet realization. You can feel it, even if you don't fully understand it yet. And this is the moment that matters. Not tomorrow, not later, right now. Because moments like this, they don't stay forever. They appear, they give you a chance, and then they fade. And most people, they let them fade. They go back to distractions. They go back to comfort. They go back to ignoring what they already know. And slowly, that awareness disappears. But you don't have to do that. You can choose differently. You can stay aware. You can accept what you feel. You can stop ignoring what your mind is trying to show you. Because something is about to happen in your life. And now, you are not completely unaware anymore. Now you are paying attention. And that alone puts you in a different position than most people. But awareness alone is not enough. You need to acknowledge it. You need to accept it. You need to make it real. So do this. If this message reached you, and you felt even a small connection to it, comment, "I'm ready" below. Not for anyone else, not for this video, but for yourself. Because when you say it, you are making a decision, a quiet decision, but a real one, like this video, to lock this moment into your awareness.